Hey guys, so let's go over this review you were just working on. Make sure you're looking at the right sheet of paper. It should say 7.1 to 7.2 review on top. The first 12 problems we are going to find the GCF. I am going to do the list method on all the ones I'm going to do today. If you want to do the tree method, that's fine. You should end up with the same answers. So just follow along with the list. You should also be using your factor sheet. So I'm going to talk about what you see on the factor sheet a lot. So hopefully you have that with you from yesterday. If not, try to buddy up with someone so you can look at what I'm talking about. So number one, I want to find the GCF, the greatest common factor between 4 and 14. So if I look at my list for 4, I see 1 and 4, I see 2 and 2. If I look at my list for 14, I see 1 and 14, 2 and 7. We are trying to find the largest number that appears in both of those lists. It looks like 2 is going to be the largest number, so 2 is our greatest common factor. Alright, same thing on number 2, so I'm going to look at the list for 6. I have 1 and 6. I have 2 and 3. I also have an X. The list for 12 is going to be 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4, and I also have a Y. You can see that 6 is in both lists, so 6 is going to be our greatest common factor. One has an X, one has a Y, so they don't have any variables in common, so it's just going to be 6. Alright, looking at number 3. So the list for 24 is a pretty big one. It's 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, 4 and 6. And then I have 1, 2, 3 X's. The list for 48 is going to be 1 and 48, 2 and 24, whoops, 3 and 16, 4 and 12, 6 and 8. And then this one has X times X. So let's go ahead and look at the numbers first. The largest number that they both have in common is 24. And then circle the X's. You can go in pairs if you want. So right now I have 24 and X times X. Well, X times X is X squared. Alright, second row, let's look at number 4. The first number is 3. The number 3 is actually not on my factor sheet because it's a prime number, so the factors are 1 and 3. And then I have an X and a Y. We already looked at the list for 24, but I'll just write it out for you again. It's 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, 4 and 6, and then this one has a Y and an X. So what they have in common as far as the numbers, they both have a 3, they both have an X, and they both have a Y. So the greatest common factor here is 3XY. If you wrote 3YX, that's fine as well. Alright, number 5. We have 14. So I find that on my factor sheet I have 1 and 14, 2 and 7. YY. For 21, I have 1 and 21, 3 and 7, and then you have the Y. So they both have a 7, and they both have 1 Y. So the GCF here is 7Y. Alright, next we have 100, so 1 and 100, 2 and 50, 4 and 25, 5 and 20, and 10 and 10. And I also have a Z. For 30, I have 1 and 30, 2 and 15, 3 and 10, 5 and 6, and that one has an X. So I believe 10 is going to be our biggest number. One has a Z, one has an X. That's nothing in common. So the GCF is 10. Alright, number 7. The number 11 is not on my factor sheet. That means the only factors are 1 and that number. So 1 times 11. Then I have X times X. Number 13, I have 1 and 13. And then I have X and Y. So you can see that the biggest number that they have in common is 1. And then the variables that they have in common is just a single X. So this is 1X. Or just X. I'm just going to write it as X. Alright, number 8, we have the number 12. So 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4, X and Y. The number 20, so 1 and 20, 2 and 10, 4 and 5. Oh, we also have the X. Sorry, forgot about that guy. So, looking at the numbers, it looks like 4 is going to be the largest number that they have in common. And then they both have an X. So this is going to be 4X. Alright, and finishing up this portion. For what's on the board, we have 12, so 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4, Y, Y, Y. And for 18, we have 1 and 18, 2 and 9, 3 and 6, and that's it. X, X, X. So what do they have in common? I think 6, right? And then a bunch of Y's in the front, bunch of X's in the back, so none of those are going to be in common, so just 6. Alright, I will leave those up there for just a minute. Go ahead and check your work. Alright, so let's finish up the last row of the GCF section, just the way we've been doing with lists. So for 15, I have 1 and 15, I have 3 and 5, and then a single X. For 6, I have 1 and 6, 2 and 3, and then 2 X's. So check out the numbers first. The greatest number that they have in common is a 3. And then they each have just 1 X in common. So that's 3X. Alright. 2 is a prime number, so its only factors are 1 and 2. And then we have 2 X's. For 8, we have 1 and 8, and 2 and 4. And then we have a single X. Go ahead and circle what they have in common. 2 is the largest number in each. X and X, so 2X. Alright, number 12 for 21, we have 1 and 21, 3 and 7, and then list your variables. For 12, I have 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. List your variables. You can see that the biggest number that they have in common is the 3, and then they each have a single Y. So this is going to be 3Y. Alright, so that's it for GCF. If you have any questions or if you need the sub to scroll back through the video, just raise your hand, let them know. If not, I will be back tomorrow, so you guys can go ahead and ask me tomorrow, but I would recommend getting this done before then. Alright, jump down to number 13. So this is all about multiplying polynomials. This is what we learned on Monday. So for number 13, this little exponent of a 2 just means you have x plus 7 multiplied by itself twice. So write out x plus 7, x plus 7. We are going to distribute each term from the first polynomial to each term in the second polynomial. So I'm going to multiply through by an x. So x times x is x squared. X times 7 is 7x. Again, I'm not really writing out that multiplication step like we did on Monday. You guys should be getting a little quicker on these by now. Next, we're going to distribute the 7. So 7 times x is 7x, and 7 times 7 is 49. I'll give you all a second to catch up. Alright, so on number 13 we still have some like terms, so we're not quite done. This is going to be x squared plus 14x plus 49. So go ahead and check those. We are going to do the same thing on number 14. We're going to distribute the x first, so x times x is x squared. X times 4 is 4x. Then I'm going to distribute the negative 4. So negative 4 times x is negative 4x. And negative 4 times 4 is negative 16. This is one of those cool problems where the middle terms are actually going to add to give us a 0. 4x minus 4x is 0x. You don't need to write plus 0 or minus 0 or anything like that. You can just leave those terms out and just write the x squared and the minus 16. Alright, number 15 is going to be done the same way. It's a little bit trickier because we have a binomial times a trinomial. So you're distributing just a little extra. So we have x times x squared first. That's x to the third. X times 4x is 4x squared. And x times negative 6 is negative 6x. Then you go through and distribute again, but this time by negative 3. So negative 3 times x squared is negative 3x squared. Negative 3 times 4x is minus 12x. And negative 3 times negative 6 is plus 18. Alright, I can go through and combine like terms. Nothing combines with the x to the third, so I'm good up front. Here I have 4x squared minus 3x squared. That's 1x squared, or just x squared. Next I have negative 6x and negative 12x. That's going to be negative 18x. You add the numbers, keep the sign of the larger number. And then we still have that plus 18 that I had to squeeze in on the second row, so don't forget about that guy. Alright, I'll leave this up for just a couple more seconds. If you think you need more time, just go ahead and raise your hand. We can pause the video. Alright. Alright, let's finish up these last three. So on number 16, I'm going to distribute the 2x to both terms in the second set of parentheses. So that's going to be 2x squared plus 2x. All I did was 2x times x. I got 2x squared. And 2x times 1, I got 2x. Next, I'm going to distribute the 4. So 4 times x is 4x. And 4 times 1 is 4. Alright, like terms in the middle, we have 2x squared plus 6x plus 4. Alright, number 17, we have a monomial times a binomial. That means you only have to distribute once. So 4 times x is 4x, and 4 times 1 is 4. Alright, and last problem, 2x times x is 2x squared. 2x times 1 is 2x. Next I'll do 4 times x, which is 4x, and 4 times 1, which is 4. Alright, the final step is to combine those like terms. So I'm going to end up with 2x squared. In the middle I have 2x plus 4x, that's 6x, so plus 6x plus 4. All right, so if you guys would like some credit on this, you can go ahead and turn it into the bin. I'll check them when I get back on Thursday. I'm just going to do basically completion grades since you have all the answers correct already, unless you forgot to copy them down. Then, of course, you need to take some time tonight and finish up what you missed. So you will get a grade on this. Thank you for doing it. Hopefully the day went well, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Thanks, guys.